Hello, Zero AD community. So this was a 3v3 I played the other day, and judging by the summary, it was a very short game, but it seemed to be very balanced. The teams had pretty similar scores. When all was said and done. The game only lasted about 20 minutes, surprisingly. Usually balanced games aren't that short, but let's see what happened. So this is me, Cushites, got my farmstead going, my 4 women, and my first house. Let's see, I am on the flank in this game. Let's see. Blue, no, I'm not. Blue, orange, yellow. So I'm not on the flank. I went to build my house close to my border. It's the general direction of the enemy. Northwest, we have orange, AlaricPularic, very high-rated player, 1500. Interesting choice. They built their first farmstead over here by these berry trees rather than going for the berries close by the civic center. Actually, it makes a lot of sense because, well, I was going to say it's further away from the border, but that's actually not true. It's actually a little bit more vulnerable. Nobody's started off with a cav build. We have a house. I think they might have accidentally built. Oh no, there's a storehouse hiding in the trees there. Alright, and this is the, they're playing as the Macedonians. Then in the yellow, we have HarshdeepSingh. They did not build a farmstead. They just went straight for the berries with 7 women, so fairly large amounts of women to start off on the berries. They have sort of blocked off their access to this apple tree, not in any majorly dire way, but yeah, they're building this line of houses here to kind of defend against any attacks that they might incur because they are on the flank. So now for Team 1 in the east, we have the Marians. Yellow was, what civ is this? Spartans. We have the Marians, in the southeast, in the light blue, being played by TheIllusiveMan. We have a very early barracks going up from the Elusive Man. Interesting choice for sure, and we only have 3 women on the berries to start out, but now they've popped out an additional 3, and they're also building houses to the west because they too are on the flank, and they want a little bit of protection that these houses can afford. In the east, we have the Ptolemies being played by TaffyDuck, one of the more lower rated players, I think the lowest rated in this game in particular, but they seem to have a good handle on what they're doing. They have a pretty heavy food opener. They have, well, we are getting towards the end of the berries, so these 10 women are probably going to build farm shortly, but TaffyDuck was blessed with a lot of apple trees surrounding their civic center, so we'll see if they end up utilizing those. They went for a very early wood cutting upgrade, and they have not built any infantry at this point. They've only built women, which they're not on the flank, so that's a little bit of a safer position to be focusing only on women and really going for that boom strategy this early in the game. As the Romans, we have Killer Sausage up in the northeast in the green. They have their cav doing what looks like a little bit of hunting. We now have AlaricPularic's cav intruding into Killer Sausage's territory, but it looks like it's just for a bit of exploration. As far as exploration goes, I thought I would be doing some myself, but I think not quite yet, if at all. We have the berries being finished up, converting over to farming for that food eco. No woodcutting upgrade yet for killer sausage. And they're finishing up the trees around the Civ Center. There haven't been any confrontations yet during this game. Let's see what AlaricPularic is up to. Very high rated player. They are not quite leading in terms of population. That would be TheIllusiveMan, and everybody else is kind of about tied around 40. No woodcutting upgrade yet for Alaric. They are still building women, and they've finished up with these apple trees in the north, and they've now moved their women over to collect these berries to the south of the Civ Center. No need to bother with an additional farmstead down there. I spoke too soon. Up goes the farmstead. Interestingly, after most of the berries have already been collected. They also have another apple tree over here that they will more than likely utilize before switching over to farming, or maybe simultaneously. And we have the first barracks along with a house going up. Yeah. Down in the west, we have me again. Let's see. I have my woodcutting upgrade. I have my barracks spitting out archers one at a time on auto queue. And I have converted over to also training archers out of my Civ Center, who are being assigned to go collect metal. I usually start my metal collection in phase 1, specifically just because my strategy involves a lot of mercenaries in phase 2 for building shit. So yeah, I like to have a little bit of a surplus of metal by the time I go up to phase 2. I'm finishing up with this last apple tree with this group of, I think, 5 women. Yep, and they are going to be assigned to populate this 4th farm that I already have built. I have all of my farms as far west as I could possibly get them, away from the enemy, conveniently because the berries were in that area to begin, so rather than build my initial farms around the Civ Center, I just utilized the farmstead that was already there and built a ring of fields around that. Down in the southwest, we have HarshdeepSingh, 54 out of 80. They're doing very good with their houses. They're very much ahead, and we have a barracks built in the far east. It looks like Harshdeep is kind of utilizing a strategy in which they are building out, expanding their territory towards towards the TheIllusiveMan, who, by the way, is just shooting ahead of everybody else in terms of population. And I spoke too soon, AlaricPularic has just literally, in that moment, surpassed the TheIllusiveMan. But let's see what the TheIllusiveMan is doing. Very, very neat and proper row of houses to the, very neat and proper row of houses to the west of their civic center. It will be very difficult for any invading force to penetrate this wall of Marian houses. The Marian houses only provide 5 for population, so you need to build a lot more of them. And I guess the advantage to that is you can really utilize them to build walls and confound your enemy while they attempt to reach their destination. So I guess explanation for how the TheIllusiveMan pulls ahead so swiftly in terms of population is this crazy amount of farms. They already have 13 of them if you include these 2 that are still being built, and they're only in phase 2, I believe. Only in phase 1. Unbelievable. So they have, half of our players have reached phase 2. The other half are still on phase 1. And, the 2 players who are leading in terms of population have, made the sacrifice of getting up to phase 2 a little bit later than they otherwise would have, in order to boom their population. And it seems like even more booming is going to probably be taking place for the Elusive Man, because they have 2 more barracks going up, which will be a total of 3 before even beginning to go to phase 2. Very interesting. In the far east, we have TaffyDuck. 76 pop at the moment, building outwards towards the center of the map. This is their first barracks. I feel like this might have been built rather recently, but we have the second one going up, being built only by 2 pikemen, interestingly. There's a very large spread in terms of where TaffyDuck's placement of their units actually are. There's a lot going on out to the west towards the center of the map in terms of what they have built. Like, this is where their 2 barracks are, so this is where most of their units are going to be popping out from, but there's nobody actually out there. So they built these buildings and kind of let everybody go back to the east. Speaking of which, they pretty much have only built women so far. I spoke too soon. They actually do have a lot of infantry, exclusively pikemen, on metal, but okay, and they have a lot of women on wood. The one thing is, I would say they have probably a pretty good balance of, no, they could definitely use more women on food, especially because they have such a large surplus of wood. They also could have done well to take advantage of all of these extra berries and the large surplus of apple trees surrounding their base, which they have kind of ignored. We do have 1 kill. The Elusive Man killed my cav. I think I had my cav kind of making a ring around the outer territory of the map to kind of get a sense of everybody's base, and got sniped by the Elusive Man at some point. So the Romans' Killer Sausage up in the northeast is severely housed, falling very far behind, along with TaffyDuck, actually. As far as Team 1 goes, they have 2 kind of very weak links in the form of Killer Sausage and TaffyDuck, who both are just falling dreadfully behind in terms of population, whereas the inverse of that is the Elusive Man and Alaric, who are both around 150, and then me and... Okay, now TaffyDuck has pulled ahead slightly in terms of population. Interestingly, Killer Sausage has 3 barracks and many, many units queued up, but it seems like they have just completely forgotten that they need to build houses. I don't know if they're AFK or something, but yeah, that finally they set some foundations down, but they were housed for an extremely long time. That is going to cost them and going to cost their entire team. Meanwhile, AlaricPularic is rapidly building outwards, eastward, toward a vulnerable Killer Sausage's base. We have the first forge going down for AlaricPularic. I'm also expanding eastward. I have a lot of people on this metal mine. It looks like I am sort of kind of losing track of a couple of my units. They're all the way over here, chopping trees down when they probably should be up here with the rest of them I always like to keep all of my units who are cutting wood, at least until the late game. I like to keep all of my wood cutting units grouped together on a single wood line, because the more you spread your forces out, the weaker they're going to be. And I like to keep the majority of those woodcutters as close to the front line as possible, so that if there is an attack, they're ready to all respond at once. And rather than, you know, a small group of woodcutters here or there being sniped by a much larger enemy that has gathered and is preparing for an attack. So I have my 2 phase 2 forges built. I have a relatively good surplus of metal for phase 2, and I'm ready to start nabbing my upgrades 2 at a time. Still no major action yet. I'm keeping my eye on the minimap. I don't want to miss any skirmishes that might take place. HarshdeepSingh is on their way to phase 2. They're the last player making it up to phase 2. And we already have the TheIllusiveMan and AlaricPularic on their way to phase 3. The TheIllusiveMan is cutting down trees. They now have 5 barracks built, and most of the units who are coming out of those barracks are heading to this wood line over here. It's interesting. I would normally, you know, have these units on a wood line more, you know, in the west, closer to the front line. But they do have this large defensive structure built here, so I feel like that might kind of be a part of their strategy of kind of building eastward away from the enemy and expanding that way, while still having a you know, a large obstacle that the enemy would have to navigate around, which would give their forces time to move from the east of the map, where they are all concentrated, to the west to defend whatever attack may be coming their way. Alright, so we have the borders of AlaricPularic and Killer Sausage are now touching one another, so it could be a hot spot potentially. We do have a lot of defense towers up on this border, so anything could happen. And we have a palace going up, where I believe a palace is where I don't know if heroes come out of the palace for the Marians. I know champion archers and champion swordsmen. The Marians have the absolute coolest champions in the game, I would say, hands down. They have women archers and women swordsmen. So fucking badass. And yeah, you can also train the Marian heroes out of this structure. I am going to pause for a moment and go get something to drink. I don't know if you can hear how hoarse my voice is right now, but it's it's an issue. Oh, hey guys. So, let's see what goes down. The TheIllusiveMan is leading in terms of population, and they now have an elephant stable very close to the front line, so yeah, let's see if they make some heads roll up against Team 2. We will see. We also have an arsenal, 2 arsenals. The Marian arsenals look so fucking cool. I don't know if they've always looked like this, but fucking badass, man. Alright, so we have a nice little balance of 32 swordsmen and 26 archers. I would have, I like to have a little bit more melee units. I like to favor them a little bit more, sorry, other way around, a little bit more ranged, a little bit less melee, especially because in terms of the archers, there are 2 specific upgrades just to make the archers attacking more effective. One of them makes their aim better, and one of them actually makes them be able to hit from further away. One's from the Civ Center, one is from the Forge. We have a fort going up. And whoa, I just heard a bang. Okay, wow. So, we now have catapults sending shots straight in to the woodcutters. Yeah, oftentimes, generally speaking, you'll see catapults used more on... Oh, I apologize. These catapults are targeting this defense tower. And it is about to go down. I'm not even entirely sure Killer Sausage knows that he's being attacked right now. I'm sure he does, because he heard the battle horn, but... yeah, I guess there wasn't really much he could do to defend that tower. Let's see what we're up against. We have a hero and 134 troops, including 4 catapults from Alaric, and all we have over here is 77 infantry. I'm sure there's a lot more back here who can back that up, but not entirely, because AlaricPularic is very much ahead in terms of pop. So we have a fortress, an attempt at a fortress being built. It looks like Killer Sausage has given up on building the fortress and instead has decided to go in for an attack. Now, swordsmen do actually have... Are there any swordsmen here? Yes, swordsmen do have an inherent advantage against pikemen and spearmen. However, the numbers just don't add up, and Killer Sausage is getting wrecked up in the north. In the meanwhile, we have this clockwise motion, because the TheIllusiveMan is mounting an attack on HarshdeepSingh, and the TheIllusiveMan does have the numbers. Let's check upgrades. The TheIllusiveMan also very much has the upgrades. Pretty much all of them. HarshdeepSingh has pretty much none of them. We have 4 rams going in, making their way towards that Civ Center. Not much in their way other than a house, which is about to be no more. And it is just a bloodbath down in the south. The TheIllusiveMan has completely cleared the path straight for HarshdeepSingh's Civic Center, and these skirmishers and women are going to be able to do very little to, to save this Civic Center. Although we do have some swordsmen, interestingly. Now, up in the north, things are not going as well for Team 1. Interestingly, it seems like Killer Sausage has maybe decided to destroy all of their own houses to avoid having them, taken over. And they have done the same thing for their Civic Center. So Killer Sausage is, for the most part, I wanted to say out of the game, but they do still have a very large amount of resources and 30 women. Unfortunately, these skirmishers can run faster than the women. So, yeah, Killer Sausage is doing the right thing. He's scattering the women out. And it looks like these ones may very well survive. They're escaping into TaffyDuck's territory. Now, down in the south, HarshdeepSingh seems to have somehow repelled the attack from TheIllusiveMan. It looks like I sent in some... That's crazy. I got 127 kills. So it looks like... I can't believe I missed this, but it looks like I have really done a great job of stepping in to save HarshdeepSingh. And wow, okay. So I guess I managed to take out the TheIllusiveMan for the most part. I can't believe I missed that moment. Wow, very interesting turn of events. So, yeah, it seems like just as the TheIllusiveMan was about to potentially knock down, what's his name again? HarshdeepSingh Civic Center, I was able to send a pretty large contingent of forces in and take out whatever this guy's name was. Was that AlaricPularic? No, that was TheIllusiveMan. Yeah, I guess I was able to take out a lot of his units at the last minute and spare HarshdeepSingh from getting wrecked. Or was it Alaric? I fucking forget, man. Very interesting game. I apologize for missing the moment in which I came to, you know, save that civic center from getting wrecked. I guess I was paying attention to what was happening in the north, but, yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell if you want to see more videos, and, yeah, have a lovely day.